My selfish sister blamed me for something unforgivable, and my parents allowed them to take me away. Years later, her shocking confession revealed a truth they never expected. I'm Eric, 33, male, and this is the story of how my sister, who I'll call Lily, obliterated my life with a single lie and the aftermath that followed. To grasp the full weight of it, you need to understand how things were before everything unraveled. Growing up, Lily and I were inseparable, closer than most siblings despite the 4-year age difference. We were each other's confidants, best friends in a way that felt natural back then. It's strange to think about now, given what happened, but at the time, it was just how we were. I wasn't a star student, school was a struggle, and I barely scraped by in most subjects. But I had a passion for electronics. Not the coding or software kind, but the hands-on stuff. I loved dismantling old gadgets, radios, remote controls, anything I could find at thrift stores or garage sales. By 16, my bedroom was a workshop. Soldering tools, multimeters, and piles of circuit boards and wires. My parents thought it was odd, especially since I'd lock my door while working. That detail matters later. But Lily? She understood. She was only 10 when I got serious about my hobby, and she'd spend hours in my room watching me tinker. She'd ask questions about what each component did or why I wired things a certain way. Sometimes she'd sort my parts or hold pieces steady while I soldered. It was our ritual, our shared world. Our parents had clear favorites. Lily was the golden child. Top grades, cheerleading squad, debate team, the whole deal. I was the kid barely passing, always either holed up with my electronics or out at the skate park. But Lily always defended me. I remember when I got caught smoking behind the school gym in my junior year. I was facing suspension, but Lily spun a story about how I was just holding the cigarette for a friend who bolted. She even teared up in front of the principal, pleading that I was trying to get my life on track. It worked. She also helped me with schoolwork, explaining things in ways my teachers never could. Without her, I probably wouldn't have graduated. I looked out for her too. As the older brother, I was protective, maybe overly so. Any guy who got too close had to deal with me. I wasn't violent, just made sure they knew I was watching. Even when I started running with a rough crowd, staying out late, Lily never judged. She'd cover for me, making excuses when I missed curfew. Once I stumbled home at 3 a.m., and there she was, waiting on the front steps to make sure I was okay. Looking back, maybe our closeness raised eyebrows, but at the time it felt right. She was my little sister, my ally, the one person who truly got me. Our parents tried to push me into normal activities, sports, school clubs, but I always gravitated back to my circuits. They saw it as a waste, but Lily stood up for me. "He's talented at it," she'd say. "Let him do what he's good at." That's the Lily I try to hold on to, the one who brought me snacks while I worked, who backed me up when no one else did, who trusted me with her secrets. This is tougher to write than I expected. Everything started collapsing when I was 18. Fresh out of high school. Lily was 16, starting to turn heads at school. Being the protective brother, I scared off the guys sniffing around. Not with fists, just a firm warning. There was this one guy, Ryan, a senior with a flashy car his parents got him, the typical spoiled kid. I caught him trying to coax Lily into ditching class one day. I shouldn't have pushed him against his car, but he was 18, trying to pull my 16-year-old sister into something shady. What brother wouldn't react? That's when the whispers started. At first, it was just gossip at Lily's school about how intense I was about her. Then it got uglier. Someone spread a rumor that I was so protective because I had twisted feelings for her. Vile, unthinkable stuff. I knew something was off one Tuesday after school. Normally, Lily would hang out in my room while I worked on a project, but that day, she went straight to hers. When I knocked to check on her, she snapped at me to leave. Later, I found her crying in the dining room. I tried to comfort her, like always, but she recoiled when I reached out. That had never happened. She muttered something about being exhausted and disappeared to her room. The next few days were off. She stopped coming to my room, stopped talking to me altogether. I thought it was just teenage mood swings. Then one morning, while I was tinkering with an old stereo, there was a knock at the door. Not a casual knock, but the heavy, authoritative kind that chills you to the bone. 2 police officers and a woman in a suit stood there when my dad answered. They asked to speak to him alone. I overheard murmurs from the kitchen but couldn't make out the words. Then my dad called me down. His face, I'll never forget it. He looked at me like I was a stranger. The woman introduced herself as being from Child Protective Services, CPS. They wanted to discuss my relationship with Lily. My stomach dropped. Lily had gone to her school counselor and claimed I'd been, it's hard to even type this, molesting her. She said that's why I locked my door, that I forced her into my room for awful things. She claimed I threatened her if she told anyone, that my protectiveness was about control, not care. She even said my electronics were a front, that the wires and tools were for something sinister. My dad didn't question it. He just stood there nodding, as if my locked door and weird hobby suddenly explained everything. I tried to show them my projects, the half-repaired stereo, the bins of circuit boards. I explained how Lily used to sit with me, sorting parts, asking questions, but they'd already decided. The CPS woman asked pointed questions. Did I make Lily feel special by including her in my work? Did I tell her she was unique? Every answer I gave twisted against me. They brought up the Ryan incident, but in their version, I attacked him out of jealousy, not protection. Lily claimed I was possessive because I couldn't handle her growing up and liking other guys. I broke down in front of them. "Lily, why are you saying this?" I pleaded. She wouldn't look at me, just hugged herself like she was terrified. "Dad, you know me," I said, turning to him. "I'd never do this." His response was cold. "Don't make this harder than it already is." When I asked Lily again, her eyes flicked to the CPS woman, the cops, our dad, and she whispered, "I'm sorry, Eric." That's when it hit me. She wasn't backing down. She was too deep in her lie, too scared to admit the truth. I laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. "You're really doing this?" Lily hugged herself tighter, muttering about not being able to keep it in anymore. My dad's jaw tightened. "Pack your things. We're going to the station." And just like that, without a trial, without real evidence, my dad drove me to the police station, silent, like I was no longer his son. At the station, they painted a picture that fit their narrative. The reclusive older brother, the strange hobby, the overprotective behavior. The interview room was straight out of a crime show, bare, cold, intimidating. They left me there for hours before two detectives came in. The male one, Carter, played the friendly role, saying things like, "We just want to help you, Eric. Tell us your side." The female detective, whose name I've forgotten, just scribbled notes and glared at me like I was scum. Carter asked about my electronics. I explained how I fixed old gadgets, built circuits, nothing fancy. "And Lily helped you?" he asked. "Yeah, she'd sort parts or hold things while I worked. She was curious about it." The female detective jumped in. "So you had her alone in your room, door locked, handling your tools?" They twisted everything. The locked door? I explained it was to keep my tools safe. Dad would borrow them and not return them. "Or maybe," Carter said, his tone shifting, "you locked it for other reasons." They had a file. Lily's story about abuse starting when she was 12, how I used my hobby to isolate her, how I got aggressive when she started pulling away. It was all lies, but they'd built a case. They had photos of my room, staged to look creepy, close-ups of wires, tools, zip ties I used for organizing cables. "Your father says you spent hours alone with Lily in here," Carter said. "What really happened?" I yelled that they were twisting innocent moments into something sick. That was a mistake. Carter nodded to his partner. Typical defensive behavior. They hammered me with my poor grades, my lack of friends, my time alone. They painted me as a loner obsessed with his sister. My lawyer, a public defender who barely cared, pushed for a plea deal. "If this goes to trial, you're looking at 20 years, she said. "Juries believe victims, and Lily's young, emotional, convincing." My parents hired a lawyer for Lily but left me to fend for myself. My dad visited once before I took the deal. "Admit what you did," he said. "Don't put your sister through a trial." I begged him to believe me, but he just said, "I thought I knew you." I took the plea. No contest to sexual assault of a minor. 5 years probation, lifetime on the sex offender registry. Why plead if I was innocent? Because they break you. They twist your life until you doubt yourself. When everyone, your family, the police, your lawyer, thinks you're guilty, fighting feels futile. The registry ruined me in ways I never imagined. It's not just the big restrictions. No living near schools, no certain jobs. It's the small moments. I tried renting an apartment, and the landlord was ready to sign until she ran a background check. Her face changed, and she stepped back saying, "I have grandkids who visit. You understand." That was my life. People treating me like a predator. Jobs were impossible. Most places rejected me once they saw the registry box checked. I finally got hired by a guy named Tom, who ran a small factory and gave chances to people like me, ex-cons, recovering addicts. The pay was low, the work grueling, but it was something. "I don't care about your past," Tom said. "Just show up and work." I lasted 2 years until a coworker found out and stirred up trouble, saying it wasn't safe to work with me. Tom let me go. I can't lose my whole team. I lost my apartment and lived in my car, using a Planet Fitness membership to shower. I'd park in Walmart lots to sleep where security usually left you alone. The hardest part was seeing life move on without me. Through old friends' social media, I saw Lily graduate high school, go to college on a scholarship, meet a wealthy guy named Mark at a university event. Meanwhile, I was eating canned soup in my car, scouting safe places to park. I tried dating once, a woman named Emily from a job. Things were good until I explained the registry and why I had to check addresses before going anywhere. I told her I was innocent, but she said she needed time. The next day, her brother and his friends showed up at my work. I quit that job too. A librarian at a small local branch became my lifeline. She never pried, but seemed to know my situation. She'd leave electronics manuals and technical books for me to find. One day, she saw me browsing online courses and helped me find free ones. "Learning is for everyone," she said. She was the only person who treated me like a person in years. Through those courses, I got into cryptocurrency, something I could do without background checks. I was good at the technical side, made some money trading. What broke me, though, was seeing Lily's social media. People praised her as a survivor, calling her brave for overcoming trauma. She wrote an article for her college paper about her experience. Meanwhile, I was scraping by, a ghost in my own life. I thought about clearing my name, but who'd believe me? Lily was the perfect student. I was the registered offender. Then everything shifted. It was a random Tuesday at my new factory job when I got an email from a private investigator, John. I almost deleted it, thinking it was a scam, but he sent proof, court files, case documents. We met at a diner outside town. John had a thick folder. "Your sister's story is unraveling," he said, laying out papers. Mark, her husband, hired him because Lily was acting strange, drinking heavily, paranoid, crying over old photos. John found holes in her story, timelines that didn't match school records, inconsistent witness statements. The kicker? Ryan, the senior she dated, wasn't just a fling. They'd been caught together in his car, doing things she didn't want our parents to know about. Fearing I'd snitch, she invented the accusations to deflect attention, thinking it'd just get me sent away, not destroy my life. John had texts from Lily to her friends, planning the lie as a last resort. She didn't expect it to spiral, but when Dad bought her story, she couldn't back out. John showed me a confession Mark got from her after confronting her with the evidence. "This won't fix everything," John warned. "The system hates admitting it's wrong." I spent that night reading her texts, her confession, even forum posts where she asked how to make abuse claims convincing. I hired a real lawyer and filed for post-conviction relief. The confession and John's evidence were enough to vacate my conviction and remove me from the registry. It took months, but the judge ruled in my favor. My record was cleared. I should have felt something, relief, joy, but all I could think about was the lost years. A week later, an envelope arrived from my parents, their first contact in a decade. Inside was a letter in my dad's rigid handwriting saying Lily had admitted some mistakes. They wanted to meet, included a $50,000 check, like money could erase a decade of being a pariah. I laughed bitterly. They still thought they could buy solutions. I called Mark, Lily's husband. "Eric who?" he said warily. "Lily's brother," I replied. Silence, then a grim laugh. She never mentioned a brother. I told him everything. "I'm divorcing her," he said. "I have a kid with her, and she lied about this?" I told him he deserved better and hung up. Lily's social media apology came next, a vague post about misremembering as a teen, casting herself as a confused victim. It didn't save her. Mark got full custody of their child, her teaching job ended, and her lies unraveled further. Turns out she'd falsely accused others, too. My parents noticed her odd behavior, erratic outbursts, drinking, disappearing. During an argument with Mom, Lily slipped, saying I wouldn't have suffered if Dad hadn't overreacted. That sparked their doubts, leading to Mark hiring John. When Mom called, sobbing, she begged me to meet. "Lily's broken," she said. "She can't live with what she did." They asked me to forgive her. Forgive? After she stole my life? I agreed to meet, not for reconciliation, but to make them face the truth. We met at a restaurant. Mom cried when she saw me. Dad looked defeated. They apologized, said they wanted to rebuild, even offered more money. I stopped them, reading Lily's texts aloud, watching their faces as they realized how calculated her lie was. "She was scared," Mom said weakly. "She was a kid." "So was I shot back. "Where was my defense?" I told them about living in my car, the jobs I lost, the scars on my wrists from my darkest days. Mom ran to the bathroom, sick. Dad just stared at the table. They begged to fix things, to be a family again. "You stopped being my family when you chose her lie over me," I said. Mom reached for my hand. I pulled away. "How do you fix a decade?" I asked. They had no answer. I left them there, their guilt heavy in the silence. They'd believed the lie, and I'd paid the price. Now they'd live with the truth. If you enjoyed this story and felt the emotions behind it, don't forget to give it a like, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more real-life experiences and heartfelt stories. Your support means the world, and it helps us bring more content like this to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.